keep hearing how the NFL is a week-to-week league, which means there's a week-to-week referendum on the quarterback. But for you, you don't have time for all this. You've got the next opponent. So how long does it kind of take you to just sort of, forget what happened Sunday, whether it's a great result for you or a terrible result for you, to just sort of move on?
I'd say usually, obviously Sunday, you're pretty frustrated, especially after a game like that. Or, if you win, you're kind of celebrating, hanging out, whatever it is. And then Monday, you kind of relive it, go back through the film, make those corrections with everyone, kind of hold everybody accountable when you're all together. And then after you finish Monday, it's kind of on to the next. So I start my prep for the next opponent Monday when we break meetings here, and then from then on, I'm not really looking back. Obviously, there's things you're still frustrated in the back of your head, and you kind of carry that into the week of practice. Just of it kind of gives you a sense of urgency. I think the whole team has that after what happened Sunday, the past 2 weeks really. So, you carry that and you use that as fuel, but you can't really dwell on the past. You got to move on to your next opponent.
How many people, whether friends or whatever, sort of tell you, you can't let whatever happened on Sunday carry into the next week, right? Because it's just gonna impact your preparation for the next one.
Yeah, you can't let that stuff bother you. You can't let it affect you for sure. The worst thing you can do is hold on to that as far as just mentally and let that affect, whether that's your confidence or you're hesitating a little bit because of what happened the week before, or just in general, you can't let that affect your next week, because you got to get ready to play a totally different opponent. Especially when it's a division game, we're gonna get another chance at those guys in January. So we'll see them again, and we can kind of circle that one when we come to it. But for right now, we got another division game in Indy, huge game. Obviously, that they're going to come out ready to play, and we got to prepare ourselves that way as well.
Are you still learning the line between taking what's safe, what's underneath, and trying to hit the home run?
I think that's something you're never going to be perfect on that. As a quarterback, you're gonna make some mistakes, but it's what we talked about, especially yesterday, and that's kind of my goal, just moving forward. And I've always thought about it, but especially now after the last couple games, just don't make a bad play worse. As far as if we didn't get the look we necessarily thought we were going to have, or first couple guys aren't open, you don't make a bad play worse. Throw the ball away, scramble for no gain, a yard or two, whatever it is, and move on to the next play. And that's kind of the lesson to learn. Just you relearn these things all the time playing this sport, because it's you think you got something and then you make that mistake again, and you just have to keep going back to the little things. So I think for me, it's just being a great player is, yes, making all the routine plays, even the great plays, but it's also how do I minimize the bad plays, and how do I make a bad play? Maybe I misread something, but it doesn't turn into interception. It's just an incompletion. You throw it away. So stuff like that. I think that's where the great ones, that's what they do really well, is they don't make bad plays worse, and they really minimize them. So.
Doug said earlier this week that Christian needs to be more involved. That's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 targets game. How do you balance that without being like, we got to get Christian the ball?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a fine line, obviously, because we have a lot of really good players that can help us, and kind of spreading the wealth. One, it helps everyone. Everyone's a part of the game plan, but also it keeps the defense on their heels, because you have so many different weapons and different ways to attack certain parts of the defense. So it's important for a lot of different reasons. But obviously, Christian is a great player, and we got to get him the ball. You've kind of seen how productive he can be and how much he helps us when he gets a lot of touches. So obviously that's important. Any great player you have, you got to find a way to get him the ball. So that's definitely that's an every week thing, and he's no secret. People have seen what he can do, so it's not going to sneak up on anybody. But for us, it's just how do we put him in really good in situations to succeed, to be open, to get touches, all that.
You're going to have Tyler in there starting Sunday. As good as Ben was playing, does Tyler bring a level of experience to that position?
Yeah, no, he's. I love both those guys. Those are two of my favorite teammates. Honestly, not just saying that because I'm up here. Those are just two of the best guys. So, obviously, I hate that for Barch. Hate it for our team. I think he was playing great. Made a lot of strides. He's had a great offseason, and just thought he was doing a really good job. So I hate that his season got cut short. But I know I know what Tyler brings to the table. He's a guy that's always ready. I mean, if that's a guy you want on your team, just as far as the type of person he is, but just how he prepares himself. Every week it's like he's a starter, whether that's at center or guard. So any of those three spots in the middle, if something happens like what happened to Ben, he's ready to step up. And when he's in there, it's really seamless. Obviously they're two different players, but he's done a great job. So, and same thing, had to come in the game, wasn't expecting to really play, and had to come in I don't know if that was end of the first half or somewhere in the second half, exactly when that happened. But he came in and played the rest of the game, played well. So
When the offense is really kind of flowing and clicking, does it seem like it runs a little bit through Christian or no, based on what you're asking him to do and how everyone else kind of plays off of that?
it just depends. I think we have the type of players who can, when their number's called, they can make that play to spark us and to kind of get us on a roll. That we have running backs that can do that, guys on the outside, Christian in the slot or the outside. We have tight ends, all that. So, it really depends on the game. I think if you look at our success, especially early on in the season, it was starting with him a little bit. I think he kind of sparked us. So he does a good job at that. And like I said, he's just a guy that really knows how to position himself, runs great routes, is really smart. So naturally, he's kind of in that spot that has that's going to get a lot of touches. So I think that's part coincidence, part just the design and how the type of player he is.
Marvin crossed the 7,000 yards threshold for his career. He's kind of been like a reliable target for you.
That's awesome.
He's kind of been like a reliable target for you. Just what type of guy is he? And just him better than we do.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah, we clicked early on when I came in last year, and we've had a really good relationship since then. And obviously, last year was a lot of ups and downs, crazy year, and we sat by each other on the planes, to all the road games, and our lockers are really close to each other, and so we would talk all the time, and just we kind of bonded a lot last season. And then going into this offseason, obviously we got a lot of new faces, but just being that veteran presence in that room, I think he does a great job. And to kind of see how he's always been a huge part of the offenses he's in, especially the last few years, and especially with us last season. We struggled to get things going, and he was always a guy that I could rely on and did a great job. And then to see kind of early on this season, didn't quite get as many catches or as many touches as probably he would have liked. Obviously, everybody wants the ball, but just the way he kind of came to work every day, never said anything, never complained, had a smile on his face, and just worked. And obviously had a big game this past game, but for him, obviously, he'd rather win the game. So I think that says a lot about him, just the way he carries himself. And we got a lot of guys that are selfless like that. The most important thing is winning the game, and guys aren't happy unless we win, even if they had 100 yards or whatever it may be. And I think you need a room full of guys like that, and he does a great job.
Are you seeing Travis kind of settle in now that he's got a couple games under his belt?
Yeah, I think he's running the ball great right now with a lot of confidence. I know all of us around him have a lot of confidence in him, especially the coaches. Really love kind of how he's progressed, and I've known he's a great player, but just it's been cool to see him settle in. Obviously, didn't get the experience last year, so it took him a little while to settle in. Just through preseason and stuff, he looks great. He's running great, has that burst. He's really explosive, and just helps us in a lot of different ways. And I think he's starting to really master the offense, especially so we can do a lot with him. So it's been great.
What does that do for you as a quarterback when maybe the offense is starting a little slow, that he can get those explosive plays right off?
Just as many playmakers as you can have around you, just where whoever it is that gets the ball can make the play to kind of spark us and get us going. And we have someone like that in every position. So that's the main thing. So you got a lot of confidence in those guys, and especially having two backs and Hasty as well. Those guys that can just come in and whatever you need them to do, whether it's passing game, running game, they can do it all. And obviously we kind of rotate those guys, and they do a good job. And same thing, super unselfish. As long as we're winning and we're doing whatever's best for the team, they're happy. So it's fun to play with those guys.
Last year was the first time you played the same opponent in the same season, really close together, or twice. We played obviously 3 of them. What did you learn from that, and how does that help you coming and facing the Colts again? Was it weird? Did you get used to it a little bit, or no?
It's a little bit different. It's nice because you get another crack at like I said, like for example the Texans, when we play them in January, we get another chance to play them. So it's nice having 2 opportunities to play a team. Obviously, going into this game against the Colts, it's always a little bit of a balancing act. You know their scheme, obviously, because you've prepared for it for a week already. But You just don't know what all they're going to throw at you the next time. There's going to be some wrinkles, and there may not be as many as you think, but you got to prepare yourself, and you kind of got to do all your homework and see all that's available and make sure you're kind of covering all your bases. So there's a balancing act of you don't want to chase ghosts, but you also got to be ready for anything that could come at you because you don't really know. They've had, especially they're coming off a Thursday night game, so 10 days to prepare for this one. Obviously, they're going to be well rested, all those things, and having a couple extra days of practice. So it's you got to adjust when the game starts, kind of see are they doing anything different. Obviously, with Gus, their scheme is their scheme, and they're really disciplined and they do a good job. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what the new wrinkles are, if there are any, and we'll just have to adjust as the game goes on.
Stephon Gilmore has looked like he's settled into that defense a little bit now that the season has kind of moved on. What has he shown you on film that maybe they didn't do the first time you guys played him?
I mean, he's a great player. I mean, even going into that game, we knew that. Just his career kind of speaks for itself. And I think the one thing he does really well, among other things, but is really good down the field, covering guys vertical. Just doesn't give guys any space. He just widens them, pushes them to the sideline, and doesn't really give you an area to throw the ball. Doesn't give those guys a chance to get over the top. So I think he does a great job playing all the verticals. And like you said, you can see him settling into the scheme and is feeling more and more comfortable and confident. And it's tough when you play a veteran corner like that because they have their rules of their scheme, but then you have a guy like him who's played a lot of football and recognizes things, and so he does a few things differently than other guys will. He doesn't necessarily play everything by the book, so you got to have an eye on him. And obviously he's a playmaker, and you got to pick your spots and just kind of know what your matchup is at all times. So, but he's been doing a really good job. Awesome, thank you all.
Thanks, Trevor.
Yep.